This is Stephen Winzenburg, and today we have Arthur and Paula Schechter. Arthur and Paula are the creators of Or, and I'm not sure whether to call it a game or a book, and how do you two describe it?
The old saying is you can call it anything you want, just buy a copy.
Okay. But it is in book form.
It is in book form.
But it's the type of thing that you could play as a game. Arthur, explain the concept of Or for the listeners.
Or, is it a game or is it life is the full title, Steve. And the concept is to just investigate your opinion, your preference on different subjects. And you can play it just sitting on the toilet by yourself to just pass the time. Or even better, you can play it in a group where it's a great conversation starter and an icebreaker. And you try to predict what everybody else would say. If you're with strangers, obviously you don't know each other, but that's one way to find out about each other. If you're with friends or family, that's where it's the most fun, where you can play it in a group and say, I know what you're going to say about this particular subject.
So, Paul, is this the kind of thing that you just bring along wherever you go, and when there's a lull in the conversation, you start asking some of these?
You know, sometimes, Steve, we sort of act as a shill. We're on plane rides or buses or someplace, and we whip the book out and we start playing with each other, and people start to look at us, and then they look more, and then they just start unabashedly, they just sort of say, what are you doing? So sometimes we shill a little with the book. We do take it a lot of places.
It is fun. Give the folks some examples. Why don't you ask me a few of them just as examples, so that people know what we're talking about.
The book contains 2,000 imaginary choices, and we'd like to preface it by saying that there is no right or wrong answer. It's only about your opinions and your feelings. Okay, here's one, Steve. If you were given excessive change by the cashier, would you return it or would you pocket it?
Oh, I'd return it.
How come? See, it's not enough to just pick one.
Yeah, you have to explain it.
Say why.
Well, I just think that generally honesty is the best policy, and that's not my money, so. No, a couple of times I've been given excessive change. Well, that's even more of a reason to give it back. But a couple of times, I can remember just a couple of weeks ago, I got a couple dollars in extra change, and I said, well, are you sure this is right? And they said, yeah, I'm sure it's right. And I said, well, I'm happy to take the money if you want to give it to me, but I don't think it's right. And, I'm happy to take it if they want to give it to me, but you got to be honest about it.
Okay, here's another one. If friends ask you for a loan, is it a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, it depends on the friend. I would probably say a bad idea.
Really? Now, why do you say it depends on the friend?
Well, it depends on if you trust them. I can think of a real close friend I have here who I would have no problem with giving, anything I have to. On the other hand, I can think of some people who have just wasted away their money, and I would be very hesitant to give them anything.
You'd never see it back to the loan. You think, yeah.
And you're quite right, Steve. Often you can say, well, it depends on this or that, but we don't have that option, obviously. You're picking one or the other, and we say depends. It's only a diaper.
Right. Give me one more. Give me a light one, because you have a lot of really goofy ones in the book, too.
Would you rather be a toll collector or a tax collector?
Tax collector or toll collector? Oh, boy. Toll collector.
How come?
Well, at least when people go by you, they're not mad at you usually when you're in the toll booth. Tax collectors,
how long
people
they've had to wait in
That's
that line to get to you.
Well, the listeners can see this is a lot of fun. It's called Or. The name of the book is Or. Is it a game or is it life? Arthur and Paula Schechter are our guests on News Radio 1040 WHO. And you two have to tell us about your background, because I believe it's Arthur, you're from New York, right?
Yes, I am.
And Paula's from California, opposite ends of the United States. You're living together in Texas now. And how did the two of you ever get together and then come up with this book?
Well, I went to Connecticut, which is where we actually met, in Stamford, Connecticut. But on my way from California, I lived in San Antonio, Texas, where we are back here again. And quite frankly, I moved east to marry within my faith. I wanted to marry a Jewish man, and there just aren't a lot of them here in San Antonio that are single. And so I went to the East Coast to meet a guy, and I did that. I met Arthur and had a whirlwind romance, and we had an opportunity to relocate, and I convinced him that we should live in San Antonio. So I got the guy I want and the city I want.
Now, Arthur, your background is in sports, right?
Right. And the book lends itself to that because when I was working as a sports television producer, when I was amongst my colleagues, we would often debate about who's better,
Sure.
this guy or that guy.
Well, just being from New York, I mean, you're going to sit there and argue about Yankees or Mets or whatever,
let me
right?
tell you that.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. Mets!
Oh, you're a Mets fan.
I'm a diehard Mets fan. I'm sorry for you Cub listeners in there, but you guys are having a great year this year. You got to try to hold on, though.
That's right. So you naturally got used to that, debating things.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just
So-
being from New York, you're a debater to begin with. But
so
yes,
then, how
in
did the
sports
specific
genre,
concept of the
that.
book come up? How did you come up with the book idea?
And the book idea came out of the marriage.
When Arthur and I first got married, I would ask him, questions. I think women like to feel out their surroundings. At least I do. I shouldn't speak for all women. Honey, would you still love me if I weighed 600 pounds? Would you love me if I went bald? Would you, would you love me this? And he just, he very patiently answered the first 100 questions. And then about 200 or so, he got a little cranky. And he looks at me one day as we're over, out to dinner. He says to me, Superman or Batman? And I said, what? He said, I answer all of your questions and never complain. I want you to answer this one. So I thought about it, and I said, well, Batman has got a butler, and he's got the manor, and he's got the really cool car, and he's got the sidekick, so I would definitely prefer to be Batman.
But Batman doesn't have superpowers.
I don't know. But
Superman can fly.
I think having a butler is superpower. I don't know about
So you'd rather
you.
be rich than be able to fly. That's what you're
That's
saying,
right.
right, Paula? Arthur, where did you come up with that? Just out of nowhere, you ask her Batman or Superman.
And then the next one was William Shakespeare or William Hurt. I mean, the first couple ones were so interesting that we started playing this little verbal, tete-a-tete with each other, just back and forth.
It was just free association, really.
And it turned into a book.
Our friends started overhearing us, and they would want to, chime in and play and give their opinion. And it was always very interesting. And then one 4th of July, a group of friends came over, and they said, we want to play or, we want to play or. And by that time, we were accusing each other of repeating them, so we started putting them in the computer and organizing them by subject matter. And it was not our intention to write a book. It just sort of evolved naturally, and it's so much fun.
And Arthur and Paula, before we get to the phone lines, let me ask you a couple. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Let's say, Arthur, let's ask you this one first. Blizzard or tornado?
Ooh. Why don't we do it this way? Since we're a couple, ask my wife what she thinks I would say to that.
Okay. Paula?
I think he'd pick a blizzard because you get snowed in, but at least your house is still standing.
Okay. Is that right, Arthur?
She's right.
Okay.
I would take a blizzard.
All right, Paula?
And I think I would pick the same thing, yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this one. Let's start with Paula this time.
Okay.
Buy a lottery ticket or donate the money to charity?
Boy.
Because we got the big...
That is a tough one for me. I'm very charitably minded, but for the price of a lottery ticket, which is like $1, I would probably say buy a lottery ticket, although I never buy them.
Paula, I'm just surprised at you.
I'm surprised. I would have gotten that wrong.
So, Arthur, you would have guessed wrong on that.
I would have guessed wrong.
So this is good for
my
couples.
wife is very, she said, charitable.
Very interesting. Let's get to our WHO phone lines. We're going to give away 3 copies to 3 of our callers who are playing along today, and Terry is up first. Hi, Terry.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. Arthur and Paula are going to ask you a couple of or questions. Then you have to explain them a little bit, too.
Okay.
Okay, which would you rather do? Collect unemployment or work for minimum wage?
Work for minimum wage
How come?
because I'm a people person and I get bored sitting at home.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Oh, okay.
Terry, are you an early bird or a night owl?
I am definitely a night owl. I worked 35 years on the night shift.
Wow. Terry, let me ask you one. Butter or margarine?
That's a toughie. I love the taste of butter, but due to my diet, I have to have margarine. So I'd have to go with margarine.
Yep. So interesting answers. You guys have one more for them?
I have one for them.
Okay.
Peanut butter and jelly or grilled peanut butter and jelly.
Wow, you are a gourmet, my friend.
There is a reason.
I think that grilled sounds very interesting. I've never tried it, but I just might.
Okay, what's your reason, Terry?
Okay. Elvis was known for his peanut butter and banana sandwiches.
Yeah, I like those.
But a friend of mine, as I was growing up, invited me up for supper. And that night they had grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
You love them.
And I fell in love with them. While I
Right.
was in the service, I got our canteen to start serving them.
Terry's got the
WHO
right idea.
Yeah.
You could always come up with your own personal ors.
Right. Thanks, Terry, for calling WHO. Chris is with us next. Hi, Chris.
Yes, hello.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
We're going to ask you a couple of or questions.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, would you rather shop at a chain store or a mom-and-pop store?
Absolutely a mom and pops.
Yeah, how come?
Store. Well, I grew up in a small town, and I just think that we need to keep those small town stores open.
But what about the savings? What if you're on a budget and you know that you can save a lot of money by going to the big chain?
Oh, that's tough.
You guys are so analytical.
They are.
I was thinking these little silly light things like, you know.
And some of it is devil's advocate because I agree with Chris. Let's help the little man, too.
Mm-hmm.
I do, too, by the way. But
oh, okay, good.
But it's an opinion. You're not right or wrong.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, Chris, you've had no food or rest in 48 hours. What do you do first? Sleep or eat?
That would be eat, probably.
Yep. Eat.
And then I'd crash with a full stomach.
That's right.
Yeah, thanks, Chris, for trying on WHO. Let's give Jennifer a chance. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
How are you today?
Great.
Let's play or with you.
Okay, Jennifer, you ready?
Yes.
Your salary at work. Do you discuss it with your coworkers or do you keep it private?
Well, I'm a teacher, so it's kind of everybody knows how much I make. I guess I'd share it with my coworkers.
You would.
Really?
That's interesting.
Because
What
that's
happens
public
if you
knowledge,
find out
huh?
you're earning way less than another teacher?
Well, I think it's based on how many years you've been teaching, but
Is it that standardized?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you're at a neighbor's house, and you have to go to the bathroom. Do you look in the medicine cabinet, or do you mind your own business?
I mind my own business.
You would like the same to be done to you?
Sure, Jennifer,
Is that right?
sure.
There's some things that I just don't want to know.
Right. Okay, Jennifer, Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks,
Yep, me too.
Me too.
definitely.
What a guy.
I know.
You know, he has such a good public-private image that it's just, and he's so creative, and he's got a wonderful range and acting skills.
Jennifer, what do you teach?
Oh boy, I teach special education and art.
Wow.
Well, you know, the OR book is fabulous for teachers.
Well, that's why I was calling.
It really is, because it helps children to develop their
Cognitive thinking, and they open up all sorts of lines of communication. You have trouble getting kids to open up, and here's an unassuming, non-threatening way to get them to broach
That's
certain
great.
topics you might not be able to get them to talk about.
Well, Jennifer, we're just going to have to give that to you since you're a night sport. You can use this to use with the kids, too, okay?
Oh, wonderful.
Great. Thanks for playing along on News Radio 1040 WHO. We're going to continue with more of our callers as we play OR. It's actually a book, but you can play it as a game. It's created by Arthur and Paula Schechter. And this plays well with kids, too, doesn't it?
It's fabulous with children. Teachers love the book. Therapists use it in practice with couples and families to get them to open up and talk. It's a fabulous little hostess gift. If you're going to someone's house for dinner, bring them just an OR book.
Right. And explain
great
real
little
quickly,
stocking stuffer for the Christmas season.
what are some of the categories that you've got, real quickly?
School or work, name, game, or rhyme time, fashion, home decorating, entertainment or media, people or celebrities.
Yeah, celebrities. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, let's get one more call in here before we have to let you go. And Drew is up next on WHO. Hi, Drew.
Hi.
How old are you?
13.
13? Okay.
It's pretty good to be 13.
Well, this is a good example and to see if kids can play along as well. So Arthur and Paula are going to give you some questions from the OR book.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
You want to earn a little extra money. Do you work after school or do you rely on your parents?
Rely on my parents.
How come?
Lazy Drew.
There's no wrong answer.
Well, at least
so
you're
Nice and
honest.
honest, though.
So you'd rather not work?
Yeah.
What do you do with your free time?
Just hang out, watch TV, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Drew. Another one. After gym class, do you shower or smell?
Smell.
And how come?
Because no one else showers
Yeah,
either.
because you don't do it anymore at school, I suppose, do you?
No.
Not enough time anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, Drew, chocolate chip cookies or brownies?
Cookies.
Does your mom make good cookies?
Yeah.
So that's what you like is the cookies.
Yep.
Okay, Paula, one more for Drew.
Cheat on a test or fail a test? If you had to do one or the other, which would you pick?
Fail.
Good for you.
Okay.
So honesty is a good policy.
And because you're so honest, Drew, I'm going to give you a book. How about that? You can play that along with your family, take it to school, have fun with the kids at school as well. Now, Arthur and Paula, you say there's no right or wrong answer, but as you got into some of the more serious categories here, there are some good versus evil type choices.
Yes.
And so to some of us, I'm kind of that black or white type person.
I can tell you when we go out and do book signings, that cheat on a test or fail, we've had a child, several times pick cheated on a test, and the parents go, "Oh, good, honey." And obviously the value that those parents are teaching their children is that it's more important to succeed
at any cost
than to be honest.
Wow.
And if that's the message that those parents want to teach their children, then this is an affirmation of that. It wouldn't be the value I personally would teach, but that's okay. I mean, that's their business.
Right. What are the types of unknown things that you two discovered about each other by doing this?
I don't know if it was unknown, but it was definitely a very strong affirmation. There are many times when, in the travel section, for example, I think there was Niagara Falls or the Mississippi River, and Arthur picked the Niagara Falls, and I picked Mississippi River. And I said, "But haven't you been to Niagara Falls, Arthur?" And he said, "Oh, yes, I've been several times." And I said, "Then why wouldn't you want to see someplace new?" He said, "Well," that's exactly why. He says he's very much into the comfortable and the familiar.
Yep.
And I'm very much into the new. And that's exactly why I picked the Mississippi River, because I'd never seen
Interesting. Arthur, what about you? What did you learn that was new?
I married a good chick.
You're a very wise man.
Yes.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's called Or, and as you say, you can play it as a game, or you can just take it along by yourself and just read it and just have fun with it.
It's wonderful when you're traveling. If you're going on a car ride or you're on a plane ride, or hanging out around the pool, it's just a fun book, and it's the size of a paperback novel, so it fits into just about any place, even in your back pocket.
Well, thanks for sharing this time with us today and playing with us.
Thank
you for the time.